Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So I know some of you are new. I'm Jake with Midwest Grows. I'm running the 8x8 here. You know, I originally bought this for storage. You know, we had a gas leak here in the basement. Had to have some people come over, you know, just to fix some things. I didn't want them seeing the plants or my setup. So, you know, we went with a tent. You know, it was way cheaper than building a grow room. Paid about $300 for this. Said this ended up being my best flowering tent, guys. That's why I'm in it again. I've had, you know, a few different successful harvests out of this tent. I just can keep my environment, you know, where I need it to be. Larger the volume, the easier it is to just control everything, guys. I mean, absolutely is. Even with water, even with spaces, you know. We lost a plant, you know, and we're down to 5 now. We're running the 6-site system, so I had to reduce a bucket, you know. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that. Check this out, guys. Alright guys, as far as, you know, removing a bucket, so this has a T on the bottom. All I did was, you know, took the lines loose, added a straight fitting here, and that's about it, you know. It's a continuous loop, you know, through these buckets and then right back down to, so you could, you know, just run 3 buckets and then loop it, you know, without any buckets on this side, you know, with just a straight line right back to the reservoir, or right back to the main bucket, and then, you know, or you could stagger 2 right here, you know, and just have 1 and do the same thing, you know. So you could run this a lot of different ways. It's not that complicated. And then guys, I'm running mine twice a day, you know, floods twice a day. It's actually draining. She's draining right now. So it floods to about, you know, where my floats are set in here. So whenever I go to do wicking, I'll go ahead and, you know, drop my float down real low. So that way it just, you know, feeds the bottom of the cocoa or soil, and it will wick up in there on its own, and that's all I'll do. But all right guys, and then, you know, speaking of flooding and feeding, these are the nutrients that I chose this run. First time using them, absolutely blown away. You know, they stay stable pretty much the whole 14 days in my reservoir. I hardly have to use the pH up or down. They're just amazing. I mean, I'm gonna run them again. You know, they're great nutrients. But you know, I increased the EC on the tank here. I think my ppm's around 650, or it was. The plants have drank a little bit. I raised it to 40 gallons, and then they drank a little bit. But that's one thing, you know, positive about losing a plant. You know, it's less nutrients I'm going to use, less water, you know, less maintenance period. So try to stay positive. Sucks losing it, but looks like they've already taken the nutrients down a little bit. So they're eating. And they're drinking, so that's always a good thing, guys. I love the holes, too, for tying down. Now, my next grow, I do a 4x8 scrog in here, and we'll let these things veg probably, you know, 3 months, you know, or quite a while, a lot longer than this, and we'll get some really big mature plants in here. I'll get use out of these, definitely. Alright, guys, so changing the reservoir while ripped, probably not the best idea. I'm having a ton of problems this week. I lost a plant. I had a huge flood. Now the flood's on me, you know. I simply forgot to put my drain hose back in my reservoir. You know, I got about 7 items coming out of that sucker. I was good and stoned and, you know, forgot to put the drain hose back in. Come back down, 15 gallons on my floor. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Overall, guys, you know, other than losing one of my plants, you know, the girls are doing lovely. You know, we got Body Count, Space Queen here. One thing I'd like to mention is Body Count's got the biggest bud. She's looking really good, stealing the show. But you know, Space Queen started getting frosty extremely quick. I mean, within the first couple of weeks of putting buds on, she was starting to get icing on her. So the rest of the 5 plants appear to be doing great. I'm going to keep a close eye, though, on the sex. I bought these feminites, so I was kind of got a little lazy, guys. You know, I just figured they were going to be female, no hermaphrodites. And then, you know, I come down here, was giving them a close inspection, doing a real light defoliation on some shade leaves that were covering bud sites, and boom, there it was, a male flower. So I've had autoflowers herm on me, you know. I found a few seeds here and there. But I ain't ever had male flowers like this where I've noticed them. You know, this stuck out like a sore thumb. I'm not blaming this on the company. This could very easily be environmental or light stress factor, something, you know, that I did. To be honest, I'm happy it happened because it's just another notch on my belt, you know. I almost collected some of this pollen. I was going to put a Q-tip on it, go down there and rub body count. I figured body count and Space Queen would make a really good strain. Look at these frickin' roots though, guys. I mean, the AirCube system's amazing, and I love the Hydroton. I mean, I'm going to get a ton of use out of this. I'm going to dump all this out, save it. I mean, the roots are extremely huge on this plant. I love the system. So guys, I thought this was really cool. I wanted to share this. You can see the pollen in the air. So I went upstairs, washed my hands, changed my clothes, took a shower. I got this shit off me. I know she probably spread already, but I minimized it by doing so. If I would have had a place to isolate her, I'd have kept her, but, you know, I don't. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel. Truly appreciate you all. Stay tuned because we're close to week 5. The buds are going to start fattening up. Take care, guys.